big. And if Houston plays and wins in a few years, they keep this up, we may have Power 6 instead of Power 5, Nick.
I wouldn't be, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. And I have just witnessed a drive for the ages. And I mean for the ages. Michigan State has just taken the lead on Iowa. 22 plays, 85 yards, 8.5-minute drive in the fourth quarter. 4 third down conversions, 1 fourth down conversion. There's 33 seconds left in the game. Drew, I got to tell you, Iowa's defense has been spot on all year. They just could not get off the field on that massive drive. And kudos to Michigan State. Never say die. But a lot of people, last week thought that Michigan State was going to run over Iowa. I said, no way, no how. Iowa has a chance to win. And I actually picked Iowa to win this game. I got to tell you, that drive, though, impressed the living hell out of me.
As it should. I picked Michigan State to win this game based on how I saw them play against Ohio State. This team knows how to win. Connor Cook knows how to win. And I got to say, we're seeing Connor Cook play for that number 1 draft pick. I mean, he said some bad things about the city of Cleveland as far as where quarterbacks go to die. He may end up there at this rate. He's playing himself into Cleveland, who may end up with the number 1 draft pick. I'd be careful with those words, my friend. But these are 2 outstanding teams, both worthy of being in the playoffs. Obviously, only one team gets to go, and this is one of many reasons why a 4-team playoff is too small. Every division plays at least 6 teams. FBS certainly could, but they're too greedy to do so. This is proof that 4 teams just doesn't cut it because both of these teams are worthy. I would put money on both of these teams having a realistic shot against Clemson, having a realistic shot against Oklahoma. Either of these teams could be competitive against Alabama. But one's being locked out because the system's really just too small. And I think this will help push towards the 8-team. What happened with the Big 12 last year is just a great example. This is going to be a great example because much like in the 2007 BCS year where weird things happened and no one wanted to hold on to that number 2, this is the opposite, where there's so many teams worthy of inclusion that it's almost not fair. You got these schools. You got Ohio State, who is borderline, but will be locked out. You got Stanford, who's borderline. They're going to get locked out. What do you do at that point? You've got conference champions from all these conferences. Even Houston, I think, could have a legit shot at least getting out of a first round of an 8-team or maybe a 16-team playoff. But you're never going to see it because of the way the current system is. It disappoints me, but I'm hoping that this leads to better things. Kudos to Michigan State for at least, doing what they're doing. Obviously, the game's not over, much like the game's not over in Charlotte, where it's an 8-point lead between Clemson and North Carolina. Tar Heels need a miracle. But that was also an entertaining game, too. We expected Clemson to have a dogfight with North Carolina, and that's what we got. They struggled early. They started pulling away, but North Carolina wouldn't go away, and it's come back to a one-score game. So what we're seeing here is some really, really good football between really, really good teams.
The game is now officially over, and Michigan State has defeated Iowa 16-13. Michigan State will be representing the Big Ten in the Final Four, the college football playoff, whatever you want to call it. And you know what? I have to say, very entertaining game if you're, for defense. But this will forever be known as the second coming of the Drive. Now, everybody knows the Drive is John Elway and the Cleveland Browns and all that stuff. Yes, I know, salt in the wounds. But Michigan State has pretty much put their stamp on this season. And the scary thing is that was the first time Iowa ever trailed in the fourth quarter. Bad time for that to happen, by the way. Bad time. But a great year for the Iowa Hawkeyes. They'll be playing they'll obviously be playing in a bowl game. Who knows? Will they play in the Rose Bowl? Will they get for the Pac-12 or against the Pac-12? Or will that go to Ohio State? We don't know yet. We'll find out. When the New Year's Day bowls come out. But if Clemson holds on right now, and it kind of sort of looks like that they might, it's going to be chalk. There's going to be, honestly, I don't think there's going to be any drama on Tuesday night. It's going to be Clemson probably at number 1. It's going to be Alabama at number 2. I think Michigan State moves up to number 3, and Oklahoma stays in the top 4. They'll get number 4. Now, again, I will harp on this until Tuesday. I don't see any way a 2-loss Stanford team or any team that did not win their conference championship overtaking Oklahoma. There's no way, no how. What Oklahoma did at the end of the season, running the gauntlet that they did, I think their body of work is perfect. And I really feel that in the end, it'll be Clemson versus Oklahoma, Michigan State versus Alabama. It's going to be a very, very good Final Four. Your thoughts?
My question is where do they end up? I still don't totally agree with you about Oklahoma.
Like I said, I see the top 2 staying the same. I see Michigan State jumping Oklahoma. I see them jumping Oklahoma to number 3, and Oklahoma stays at number 4. That's it. A lot of things had to fall right for Ohio State or any other team that had aspirations to get into the top 4. Nothing fell. It was chalk. Except for Michigan State, who was ranked 5, but the Big Ten champion was going to be in the college football playoff. So, yeah, I would still consider it chalk.
So, you and I disagree about Oklahoma's body of work, and obviously the committee thinks I still don't think they're really worthy of it. But I agree with you on this quality win from Michigan State against an undefeated Iowa. Granted, an Iowa squad that was not nearly as tested as some of these other schools, but was still undefeated 12-0 going down to Michigan State. Michigan State has a legit win with Ohio State and with Iowa, 2 top 10 teams, and not to count Michigan out there too. I see them very easily going to number 3, and while it won't happen because of the bias, I would say there's even a legit reason to consider them for number 2 over Alabama with the quality of the wins that they had. But it's not going to happen though. Alabama will stay number 2. Make no doubt about that. And I expect Clemson to close out against North Carolina. North Carolina failed on the onside kick. Clemson's trying to run out the clock and perhaps kick an insurance field goal because North Carolina had all their timeouts left. But it's going to be very interesting. And having the others in the New Year's Six Bowl, we will not be bored come holiday time with some quality football. I'm just saying.
You know, you bring up a very good point about Michigan State possibly being bumped up to number 2, being that towards the end of the season they beat Michigan, they beat Ohio State, and they beat an undefeated Iowa team. It is a very good point. The problem is that take away the last drive of the game, Michigan State struggled mightily on the offensive end today. Will that hold them against by the committee? I don't know. But you are correct about one thing. There is still a bias out there with the SEC. We all know that everybody worships at the altar of Nick Saban. And some people will probably try to think of a way to have Alabama leapfrog an undefeated Clemson team if they had the chance. But obviously that won't happen because Clemson deserves to be number 1. I got to tell you, though, I really hope for their sake, and I'm saying this truthfully, that Michigan State doesn't get ranked 4th. I'm saying that right now. Michigan State gets ranked 4th. I don't like Clemson's chances, to be honest with you.
I'll be honest, I don't like Clemson's chances against any of these schools. I don't think they're going to win a semifinal game.
I think they had, if they play Oklahoma, I give them a very good chance of beating Oklahoma. I really do. If it's Michigan State, no. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I just don't see it. Michigan, after winning a game like that, Michigan State's going to be on a forgive me for saying it, but a Rocky Mountain high. And if they do advance and they get Alabama or Michigan State, again, depends on where the rankings end up. I don't know. I want to wait till Tuesday. I want to see what the final rankings are, and you bet your bottom dollar that next week when we're on air right here live on the Inscriber Media Network and syndicated with all of our friends across the United States, you will get our predictions on who's going to win in the college football playoff, and that's pretty much a guarantee. But I will be happy about one thing, Drew.
What's that? What are you going to be happy about?
Oklahoma's going to the top 4, dang it.
No, they aren't going. They're already there. It was kind of their spot to lose at this point. But I got to ask you the question, Nick. Would Baylor losing to Texas play a role in damaging Oklahoma's resume?
No, actually it helps Oklahoma's resume. And I'll tell you why. Texas beat Oklahoma.
But Texas is a bad.
Just a wee bit better.
But Texas is still a bad team. It's still a team that is a losing team. They're just making another team look worse.
Question: Is Texas 5-7 now?
I believe so. Yes.
Well, guess what? They're going bowling.
No, they're not. It's based on APR, and they're not the top of the APR.
Are you kidding me? Any bowl? Follow me here. A team's going to see, because there's so many bowls out there, we should call one of them the saturated 5-7 bowl. But, I would not be surprised if there's a team out there, if there's a bowl out there that sees a 5-7 Texas team, they need to fill a slot, they're going to be like, Texas travel, no matter what it is, we're going to overtime, ladies and gentlemen, just letting you know now. But they see a 5-7 Texas team, and all of a sudden they're eligible to go bowling because of some cockamamie rule that they can't fill bowl games. Don't be surprised if Texas, based on that virtuous win, 2 wins over Oklahoma and Baylor now, somehow snivel, do whatever, a way to get into a bowl game. Which leads me to the point of this. There are too many bowl games. We don't need the bluebonnet poinsettia, not Chick-fil-A, I'm trying to think of something, Beef O'Brady's, help me out here. I'm trying to think of other bowl games out there that pretty much draw maybe 6,000 fans. But, I mean, when you don't have enough teams to fill bowl games, this is what's going to happen. And it stinks.